The light doesn't just fade, it abandons you. As the sun drops behind the tree line, the temperature plummets instantly, biting at your exposed skin. The world loses its color, bleeding into a wall of jagged black silhouettes. Your eyes, which are perfectly evolved to track prey in the midday sun, are now completely useless. You are essentially blind. But the forest is waking up. A twig snaps somewhere to your left. A low rustle shifts through the tall grass behind you. You cannot see the predators hunting in the dark, but they can see you. For an ancient human, the night wasn't just a time to rest. It was a ticking clock. If you grew up in the modern world, you probably assume ancient humans dealt with the night the exact same way we do. The sun goes down, you get tired, you crawl into your shelter, and you sleep for 8 solid hours. But that is a modern illusion. Sleeping for a continuous 8 hours is a luxury invented by artificial light and secure locked doors. If an ancient human tried to sleep like you do, they would be eaten. To understand what it felt like to survive the night, you have to understand exactly how outmatched the human body is in the dark. We lack a biological feature called the tapetum lucidum. That is the reflective layer behind the retina that gives cats, dogs, and wolves those glowing eyes in the dark. It allows predators to pull in massive amounts of ambient light. A prehistoric leopard or a cave hyena could navigate a midnight forest with terrifying precision. You could not. This deep biological vulnerability left a permanent scar on the human nervous system. Evolutionary biologists suggest that our modern instinctual fear of the dark, nyctophobia, is a direct leftover survival mechanism from this exact era. Your brain is hardwired to be afraid of the absence of light because for hundreds of thousands of years, the dark is where the monsters lived. So, how did a blind, relatively weak, furless ape survive the most dangerous 8 hours of the day? They stopped sleeping at the same time. Researchers call this the sentinel hypothesis. When anthropologists place sleep-tracking devices on modern hunter-gatherer tribes, like the Hadza people in Tanzania, they find something fascinating. The tribe does not go to sleep all at once. Out of a group of 30 people, there is almost never a moment where every single person is unconscious. Someone is always awake. The elders might sleep in short bursts, the young adults might stay up late, the parents might wake up before dawn. Over a typical night, almost half of the tribe is awake or in a very light stage of sleep at any given moment. If you have ever wondered why some people are naturally early birds and others are extreme night owls, this is why. It is not a modern sleep disorder. It is an ancient tribal defense system. If your brain is wired to stay awake until 3 a.m., you would have been the night watchman. Your insomnia would have kept your friends alive. But survival required more than just keeping your eyes open. It required pushing the darkness back. The mastery of fire is arguably the single most important turning point in the human story. We cannot know for certain exactly when our ancestors first learned to control it, but evidence suggests it became a permanent fixture of human life roughly 400,000 to a million years ago. Fire changed the math of survival. A roaring fire creates a barrier that predators will not cross. It provided heat during brutal Ice Age winters. It allowed us to cook meat, which gave our brains the massive influx of calories they needed to grow. But fire did something else. Something much weirder and much more profound. It extended the day. Before fire, the human day ended at sunset. There was nothing to do but huddle together, stay quiet, and try to survive until morning. But with a campfire, suddenly, ancient humans had 3 or 4 extra hours of usable time every single night. What did they do with that time? To answer that, anthropologists looked at the conversations of the Kalahari Bushmen. They recorded everything the tribe talked about during the day and everything they talked about at night. The contrast was staggering. During the daylight hours, 70% of conversations were entirely practical. They talked about hunting strategies. They complained about the heat. They argued over how to divide food. They gossiped about tribe members. Day talk was about the harsh, exhausting economics of staying alive. But when the sun went down and the tribe gathered around the fire, the conversations completely flipped. Over 80% of night talk was dedicated to storytelling. Sitting in a circle of light, surrounded by a wall of impenetrable darkness, ancient humans stopped talking about the physical world. They started talking about the unseen world. They told myths about the stars. They told stories about distant ancestors. They talked about spirits, magic, and animals with human traits. The campfire acted as a psychological pressure release valve. The sheer terror and stress of surviving the ancient world was channeled into shared narratives. This is the birth of human culture. The evolutionary advantage of these stories is massive. A tribe that shares the same myths and the same beliefs is a tribe that trusts each other. And a tribe that trusts each other works together perfectly during a mammoth hunt the next day. The stories told in the dark literally kept the tribe fed in the light. This mechanism is still running inside your brain right now. Think about the last time you sat around a campfire with a group of friends. Or think about the last time you stayed up until 2 a.m., sitting in a dimly lit room, talking to someone you care about. What happens to the conversation? You don't talk about your grocery list. You don't talk about your commute. The walls drop. You become vulnerable. You talk about your fears, your hopes, your childhood, and the strange mysteries of life. The intimacy of a late-night conversation feels entirely different from a conversation at noon. That is not an accident. You are running a million-year-old software program. Your brain is recognizing the safety of the firelight and signaling that it is time to bond. We tend to look back at our ancestors and define them by their tools. We look at their stone axes, their spear points, and the bones they left behind. We define them by how they survived the brutal reality of the day. But human nature wasn't forged in the daylight. The sun went down. The temperature dropped. The predators woke up. The absolute worst thing that could happen to a primate was to be trapped in the dark. But we didn't just hide. We built a circle of light, we sat together, and we figured out how to survive until morning. The night was the most terrifying experience an ancient human could face. But without it, we never would have learned how to dream.